make sure that we are not just interviewing from a very narrow pool of candidates, which in the early days of most startups, you'll see if a company is founded by 3 white men, they know a lot of other white men, and that's typically what happens, so you're getting a lot of referrals early on. So just being more intentional about making sure that you are looking at different profiles, and I think it's just increasing those numbers. But at the end of the day, we also, we're a merit-based company, so we don't have certain targets where it's like, oh, we need to hit these diversity targets. In terms of how we're doing compared to benchmarking, we are actually on track. We're doing very well, but that being said, we are a merit-based company.
That's awesome. And I think the attainment of diversity in the organization is a balanced approach and can go very wrong if it's not. So kudos to you and all of the leadership team at NAC for finding that balance. Appreciate that. Susan, can we talk a little bit more about leadership? I'm going to hit you up now.
All right.
This is a good one.
Okay.
So if you were to go back to your, I won't give an age, younger self,
Okay.
early on as you were deciding to jump into the wonderful world of entrepreneurship, what do you know now that you would have liked to know then, or that you think you would have liked to tell yourself then?
Oh, that's a great question. What I think big, dream big, big. I have felt that over the years I set my vision bigger and bolder for the impact to the community, to the province, to the country. That's where I set all intentionality. And and we trickle it down to day-by-day moments in the company, but it allows those speed bumps, as we go over them, they really just become speed bumps. I'm much less fussed about challenges that happen now than I used to be. It's just another day, another business decision, another opportunity, most of the time for communication. Having a fear when we started this, I think I had a lot of fear. I had a successful career, working really hard so that I could prove my worth at the table. Today, I feel much different about that. I invite challenges, I invite issues to pop up because that's the opportunity to prove that we prove our values, to demonstrate our values, to earn trust. You don't really earn trust in the good days. You earn trust when someone has a problem and you're there to help and support them. So now I get quite excited about, I'm more eager, I'm more sporty about picking up the phone, about reading the email, about the opportunities, rather than planning for what I'm going to say in a really structured manner. I hope that the leadership comes through in the day-to-day moments where we have to make difficult decisions. And I would go back and say, cut half of what you're doing out and just focus on showing up. It's a lot easier than I thought.
I really like that. I really like that. The beauty is in the simplicity of that, because we can get mired in the details. And if we look too closely at the details, I know that this sounds cliche, but if we look too closely at the details, we miss the opportunity that's right in front of our faces.
Absolutely. To spot opportunities, you have to have your eyes up, and you can't be too caught up and head down and feeling down. And I mean, if you know me, you know I have a positivity bias. It's getting worse every year. Because I feel like it is the path that catches the most butterflies. It attracts the most like-minded individuals who want to also impact our community for good. This whole room could be working together on big initiatives for Ottawa, for Canada. And we can do that in our day-to-day lives, at work.
And you know, that's really interesting how that, you talked about how you and your partner started the firm, and you are very sporty and you thought you might go that route, and you have these creative employees, but look at how you've influenced the culture with your leadership. That creative aspect of the looking up and leaning into the challenge ahead, knowing full well you can tap into a bigger, broader team, both inside your organization and outside your organization, of your trusted advisors that we all have that you lean into, and the creativity that's resulted in even the use of butterflies, right? So this is number crunch, folks. She just said the word butterfly. So, you know, the unique cultures in each of these organizations and how they show up in their own innovative way, I think, is quite remarkable. So, Sean, let's talk a little bit more about trust and leadership. Everything that you've talked about has come from that core value of trust. And how does that instill in the existing and upcoming leaders in your organization?
Yeah, so it's, first of all, I'll say that core values are sacred to me. They are not words on a plaque. They are a mechanism for designing your culture. And so years ago, I did a lot of very intense work on figuring out what the culture or what the core values of the company would be, and I did not do that by committee. I did it in my own head, in a cabin in the woods over time. And when I was clear on that, it became the mechanisms for how I would recruit leadership into the company so that we could propagate a certain type of culture, and a culture that was a high trust culture. So I challenged myself at the time to come up with core values that would drive certain behaviors, and those, I boiled it down to 3, and those 3 are caring, courage, and teamwork. So those are the things that we talk about at the leadership team level, and we live and die by those core values in terms of using them as a filter for all of the big decisions we make about the company. And it's also how we determine, you know, who is going to be promoted, who is going to be bonused, who is not going to make it on the team, right? These are all the things that go through the core values filter, and that's by far the most important thing. So in terms of trust and in terms of creating a platform for leadership to walk the talk, you know, the most important thing for us was to really get aligned on the core value piece. And it involved changes to the leadership team at a given time. So it was absolutely instrumental in us getting to a place where we really felt confident that we could go forth and have a culture-first construction company. And so the language that we speak as a leadership team always seems to revolve around these 3 core values, and we find new ways all the time to articulate how a person is embodying those core values on our team, making us incredibly proud or not, and then requiring some type of corrective action from the leadership team.
There's nothing more freeing for a team than seeing its leaders make deliberate decisions about who gets to be on the bus and who doesn't get to be on the bus, who are not aligned with the core values and who are. That is one of the best incentives ever.
You just gave me goosebumps because that is it. That is it. That is so much of the conversation at the leadership level, because that is one of the key functions of a leadership team, is finding great people, then driving alignment, and then removing bottlenecks. But that first one on the list is so key.
Yeah, and doing something when you see that it's not working, right? Having that caring approach, but also being very committed to those values. And that's the non-negotiable aspect, and hence the beauty of all of the cultures that we're hearing about today. So just quickly now, if we were to talk a little bit about, and Susan, you mentioned that earlier, the connectivity of culture, leadership, and communication. Sarah, if we're looking into the future, what is it that NAC is doing that is going to optimize leadership, the culture, and the communication? What's next for NAC?
That's a good question. What's next for NAC? I'd mentioned before, like, even when it comes to our feedback channels and everything's ongoing. One thing that is actually core to our values is a growth mindset. So making sure that we are continuing to grow and learn. Like, even our learnings that we have today, there's going to be more next year. So just making sure that, like, we all are aware of that and humble, even when things are going really well, like this year. Next year might be a harder year, and yeah, just be open to that feedback ourselves.
I really like that. So don't get too comfortable riding the wave.
Yes.
Because you know you might miss something along the way. So staying connected, looking for the signs, being prepared to make some adjustments if you need to. That's what's around the corner.
Yes.
Love it. All right, Susan, you've had some time to think about it.
Okay.
Sarah got hit up pretty quickly there.
Okay. Well, I think, so the vision for our business community in Canada, 78% of businesses don't transition, they just close. That breaks my heart. That's a lot of people who have had multiple decades of risk and exhaustion only to shutter the doors of an organization that houses employees that could continue on. So I would like to envision that Number Crunch will play a role in enabling that continuity. And in doing so, our team will grow in that capacity, and it's going to grow in size, it's going to grow in skill set, and hopefully with the people that we have today. It has been written in the article about, we do have a view that people don't have to stay with us forever. We want you to come and learn and grow, and let's have fun. And if you're with us for 20 years, great. But if you aren't, that's great too. So we are, there will be a Number Crunch alumni that will also be helping organizations beyond the reach of our own office doors. So its impact on the business community outside of our local economy, and ensuring that we have the workforce that is here to support that, especially as we have aging population. We're going to have a big gap, and so it's even more critical that organizations are equipped with the right financial support to navigate that stream. And so we got a job to do.
Go building the small business up, because God knows there's twists and turns and bumps along the road. So I really love that give back to the community. I know that's a core value of yours, and you give back a lot of your time to the business community over and above running Number Crunch, and instilling that in your workforce and the alumni, I think, is absolutely fantastic. Love that. Thank you. All right, Sean.
Yeah, so connecting the dots for us into the future is winning, what I'll say, winning the battle of bandwidth. So in our industry, there's a tremendous amount of firefighting that goes on. We're confronted with issues late in the construction process that can really stymie our best laid plans. And so we're laser focused as a company and as a leadership team on how can we build up people's bandwidth, and how can we make it so that our teams are not stretched to their limits, but are actually, finding ways, and we're using different mechanisms like technologies and modeling, doing a lot of building information modeling type approach to approaching our planning. All of that is coming together for us to just be ahead of the game in a different way than we have been in the past. and thereby give our individual team members breathing space when it comes to, confronting the issues that inevitably come up on construction projects in a calm, in a creative way, in which you would not describe it as firefighting, but you would describe it as intentionally controlled and efficient.
So earlier on when I mentioned the data and the intentionality around building leadership from within, you've just described that. And leadership comes in many ways, and growing leadership comes in many ways. And by doing that, by finding those efficiencies that will give people a little bit of breathing room, and teaching them new ways of doing things, new ways of approaching their work, is instilling leadership.
And leadership is there to build quality of life for the people that are in the company. And so that's what we figure is the core recipe for us. To have a better quality of life is to be able to come to work and feel like you're in control.
I love that. And that's a perfect way to close this panel. So what we've heard today is more than just a conversation. It's a blueprint for what workplaces look like in 2025 and beyond. Sarah, Susan, and Sean, thank you for sharing your insights with us today and for showing us how change can be met with courage, clarity, and care. To all of the 20 Best Places to Work recipients, congratulations once again. Your innovation, empathy, and leadership are making Ottawa a city where people don't just clock in, they grow, they lead, and they thrive. You're proving that when we invest in people, we build more than companies, we build communities. At Craft Execs, we're proud to walk alongside organizations on this journey. Whether you're facing disruption or dreaming of transformation, our Mitigate, Restore, Transform framework is here to help you move forward. And these are folks that prove positive that this can be done. So celebrating all of you and your colleagues, award recipients, thank you everyone for today's session.
Thank you again, Sean, Sarah, and Susan. That was exactly what we planned, Karen. We wanted to use 3 of our top 20 to go behind the headlines, so to speak, and look at a technology, a professional service, and a construction company, and what is fueling that growth. I want to thank you, Karen. I was trying to do the math in my head. I think you went through 400 pages of recipient reports to draw out some of those key PowerPoints. So thank you for doing that work. A reminder to myself to circulate it to the people here today.